Sorry about that. All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Hello, everyone. Welcome, members of council. Welcome to our clerk and to our CIO. We are in the council chambers here of the Township of Clearview. I know that those members that have been tuning in to us in the last 2 years have been watching us on Zoom from the public. And I know members of council have been participating in Zoom meetings. We've had long 2 years, but we are all as a council and some of our staff joined together right now in the council chambers. And so this is an experimental hybrid meeting, as I said at the beginning of our opening session at 4:30. So we're doing a hybrid meeting here today. Members of council are sitting at our council seats. Between us, we do have some partitions that have separated us to adhere with the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit's recommendations. And we do have a single camera positioned in the chambers right now looking back at us. The one difficulty that we've learned, and if you've ever visited the council chambers, you know that the sun beautifully comes in from the west side of our chambers and shines brilliantly upon the members of the public who would be sitting in our chambers. At this time, the camera is what's getting sun shining on it. So as the meeting progresses, perhaps the lighting will change a little bit and you won't get this glare on the screen that you're seeing. This, again, as I said, is a hybrid meeting. This is also a bit of an experiment on behalf of the clerk's department, our IT department. And we are, at least you're able to hear us all very well as we have all of our microphone system attached to this Zoom meeting. So that's what we have so far. So members of council, again, I'll just remind you, and for the members of the public, we will be using the voting system with the cards so that we can still see it. Although as the chair of the meeting and the mayor, I can look up and down the table and see everybody. As I mentioned before, for our routine motions, et cetera, I will accept just raising of your hand for motioning as long as I acknowledge and see you. Otherwise, for the best practice would be to use the cards in the favor and non in favor in the directions you want, as well as the request to speak yellow cards. We'll continue to use those at this time, and we'll hope to retire these cards one day too. But in the meantime, we're going to continue on, members of council. And for the members of the public, I will speak and say that I would really hope that we will have a time when we have the chambers filled with people once again. And I would hope that with the Muskoka District Health Unit having an opportunity to review some of the policies and have some of the changes have come with COVID, that we'll be able to open these doors and allow that to happen. So again, consider this a hybrid, and I would encourage you, if you have any concern about this, to write to council@clearview.ca and or contact the clerk's department, and we can help assist you with some of the concerns. So members of council, we did meet at 4:30 in regards to an in-camera session. So we've exited the in-camera session. We're now back to our regular session. And so for the first time in the chambers, I'd like to read the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Statement on behalf of the Township of Clearview. I'd like to begin our meeting I would like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Titatanati, the Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships, and we ask for guidance in all that we do. I say this statement voluntarily and very proud to do it as the mayor of the township. Members of council, we'll move on to our agenda. And we have, like I said, we've done our closed session. So at this point, we're simply going to move to item 2, which is approval of the agenda. Recommendation be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated May the 9th, 2022, as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Leishman. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Disclosure, pecuniary interest, and general nature thereof. Anybody with a disclosure? Anything comes up during the meeting, we'll deal with it appropriately. Thank you. Public participation, be advised comments are received or not necessarily the views of the council, Township of Clearview, council, or the administration. Madam Clerk, I don't believe we did have any public participation recommendations. Is that correct?
That's correct, your worship.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll be able to move on with that. But as I said in a moment ago, I'd be more than happy to have the chambers open once the Muskoka Health Unit approves that. And we'll let people join us right here in our chambers. Deputations and presentations. We have none. Public meetings. We have none. Item 7 is approval of council meeting minutes. I believe we have two different meeting minutes. We're going to combine them into one motion. Be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the following council meetings: April 25, 2022, a regular council meeting; April 27, 22, a special council meeting in regards to a planning public meeting. Can I have a mover and seconder on the motion? Mr. Broderick, Mr. Walker, any questions? All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Business from the minutes. Anybody got any items? Seeing none. Communications from the mayor. So members of council, item number 9.1, council did meet and we have a resolution as a bylaw a little bit later on. It's an on-desk item in regards to appointing a member of the public to a volunteer position on the Evening Hall Board. So at this time, I would like to first of all acknowledge Claire Oster, who has served our community and the community of Evening for some 30 years or something. Is that correct, Councillor Lamer? 34 years, I think it is. Very impressive. Thank you very much for your service to our community, and we appreciate everything you've done. And a little later on, we do have a bylaw that appoints Bonnie McPherson to the board. So I want to just welcome her at this time. That's the report from closed session. Item number 9.2, NVCA board highlights. 9.3, NNMFRF decision regarding regulation changes under the Aggregate Resources Act. I think I need a glass of water. NVCA media release regarding native tree and shrub seedlings, Arbor Day. 9.5, Festivals and Events Ontario, Clearview Township event achievements. I'm going to get to that in a moment. I'm just going to ask if members of council have any questions of 9.2 through 9.4. Mr. Patterson, hello, go ahead.
I just want to make a note of the fact that 9.4, they have the Arbor Day tree sale. They're basically bare root stock, 10 plants for $30, May 14th at the Tiffin Center. So if anyone's interested.
Oh, right. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that.
About 40 years from now, we're talking about trimming them.
Is that right? All righty. All right. I'm just got to get to my council. I have to move ahead of here my iPad so I can get to this report. Okay. All right. Then thank you, Tom. Members of council, we're going to go to 9.5, Festivals and Events Ontario. Council and staff and the public, I want you to know that we have had some certificates of achievement provided to us from the Festivals and Events Ontario. I want to thank our staff and volunteers that work very hard to produce wonderful events in Clearview Township. Winterama was recognized recently, and so we want to thank them for their work and thank the FEO. Additionally, we have Clearview Canada Day celebrations. That's always a great partnership between the Stainer Heritage Society and the Legion in Creemore, along with the BIA in Creemore. They put together a great celebration. They received a certificate, Madam Clerk, and the Taste of Clearview. That one is a very great little event. I know that you've all enjoyed that one. And we want to thank all of our partner restaurants for participating, as well as some of our local providers of breweries and so on for participating in the Taste of Clearview. Always a great event, and we received a certificate for that. And the last one is our Rural Lights and Winter Nights. I have to tell you, I was always impressed with the lights since several years ago. We added some of those beautiful Christmas decorations to our parks, and we've increased them in numbers. And they do get an awful lot of press and as far as and compliments from the public. I'm very impressed with them, and thank you also to members of council who joined me in celebrating at the Santa Claus Parade, because we put one of those lights on our float, if you recall. That was a lot of fun. So that's nice to receive those certificates. So I want to acknowledge Amanda Murray, who works in our tourism department, and as well as other staff who work in tourism, and again the volunteers that help out. Thank you very, very much for everything you do to bring acknowledgement and recognition to our community with these special events. And it's also very great to see that FEO Ontario has recognized you. So thank you for that. Did you have something to say there? I see he's flashing his yellow card, Councillor. Councillor McKechnie.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's the problem with sitting down here at the end. Maybe one day I'll be more towards the center. Anyway, just wondering, these certificates of achievement, great, wonderful. Do they have any monetary value, or do we just get a piece of paper? I see they're sponsored by the OLG. Just wondering what comes along with it.
They are considered priceless.
So no. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Yeah. It's an excellent question, however. I appreciate it. All right, members of council, nothing further on communications from the mayor. I'll ask for it be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive the communications from the mayor for information. Can I have a mover and seconder? Mr. Lamers, Councillor Deneen. Questions? All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, council, moving on. Item number 10 is our county reports for information. There is one item on here, but I'm actually going to turn all directly over to our deputy mayor, who has, I looked over at his desk and he's got several pieces of paper he wants to talk about. So go right ahead, Deputy Mayor Burton.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. That's great. So yes, several things from county announcements on May the 4th. The county declaration of emergency ended on May the 4th. So the warden has ended the declaration of emergency for the county. Compost is now available at sites from May 10th to May 28th at all the I'm going to call it garbage sites, but that's not the right term, but you know what I mean. And $5 per carload and $20 per truckload for all the compost that you want at our waste facilities. That's the term I was thinking of. On May the 5th, the mayor and I attended the groundbreaking for Simcoe Village in Beaton, which will be one of the largest facilities, 500,000 square feet campus with a budget of $177 million. And it'll be one of the largest facilities in the province for long-term care and seniors that need care. The county also gave Clearview 80% funding for 2 projects. Clearview Discover Clearview got some $10,240. Trail Tunes got $8,000. And the other thing is on April 12th, the county has circulated the changes to the Conservation Authorities Act, and they have passed that around to all local municipalities to get that. And then also just this week, a recognition of healthcare workers and emergency staff workers. And it's just say something that we should recognize all the medical staff, all the long-term care staff, all our ambulance people who diligently have worked hard through COVID and everything else. And they've all done a wonderful job. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I look forward to a busy council meeting again tomorrow. There is one other item on there, which of course is on our agenda underneath county reports, County of Simcoe. It's a staff report number 2022-100. It's in regards to phase 2 proposed changes, Conservation Authorities Act. For members of council, it's good information there. The report's attached to our agenda, so you can have a look at it and see what the recommendations were and how they will impact us at the in our membership with the NVCA. And I'm sure that we're going to be working with Councillor Patterson. I think you've mentioned to me you have some work that you're going to bring forward on the NVCA, so that's great. So there's nothing further from county reports. All righty, thank you very much. Then I'm going to move directly to our ward reports. So in our ward reports, obviously we go around the table, we speak to each member. If you recall, during the last 2 years, I've been looking at my screen and just picking who's up first and who's up next. So I'm going to make it really simple. I'm going to start with Councillor Walker, and we're going to go all the way around to Councillor McKechnie. And then next time we do this, Councillor McKechnie, you're up first. How's that? Oh, there you go. Councillor Walker, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Not really a committee report. I just have some general public announcements. First of all, I want a big thank you to the Stainer Kinsman Club, Clearview event staff, and everybody else who helped make the duck race a very successful day. Great crowds, great weather, and everybody was certainly having a lot of fun and enjoyment. So once again, Stainer Kinsman, thank you so much, and the event staff and whoever else. Great day. Secondly, congratulations to the Stainer Siskins who made the Final Four in the Smoltz Cup. They play this weekend in Guelph. They've had a home and home series, or sorry, they have had 2 games already in round robin. They won one against Clarington and they lost the one against Lakeshore. They play Grimsby on Thursday, and then the weekend is a tournament. And through the home and home series, they are ranked 1 to 4, and then the semis and finals will be in Guelph on the weekend. And last, I would just like to say to the Manitou Shrine Club and the Shriners, thank you for a wonderful Mother's Day breakfast. I didn't have my mother with me, of course, but I took my wife, and it was very busy when we were there. The one back room, I think, was full. And then the front room we were at was full as well. So again, Shriners, thank you. Great time. That was a busy weekend, but a very enjoyable weekend all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Go Siskins. Counselor Lamers, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was working in Ottawa last week and stopped around the ballpark, and the grounds crews were doing a nice job on the diamond and cleaning up the ballpark. So it's looking really good. And then today they were in New Lowell, and I think last week they were in Creemore and Stainer. So all our parks are pretty well cleaned up. The ball diamonds are ready to go. The soccer field's ready to go. They did a good job on it. And then on the 27th, we had a planning meeting. And now, because the election is coming up, I'm starting to get phone calls and emails from the citizens about projects that have been started and haven't finished. And if you want a re-election, we want some of these things cleared up. Thank you.
Okay. I see you smiling at me, so that's good. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Patterson.
So we know where to send our phone calls to.
I guess so.
Yeah, as a couple things, Mad River seemed to have caught the attention this year of a number of people. You know, we had the ice jam, and there was a river morphologist from the NBCA who had started to do some preliminary studies at the Crothers Park. And so Fred Hobbs from the NBCA, my request, did some visiting along the MAD behind 37 Elizabeth Street, which is roughly where the ice jam was, and further along. And the river morphologist basically thought that he would recommend some things to us. He also looked at the retaining walls at the wastewater treatment plant, and one end is starting to fail. So I think he was in touch with Mike, or tried to make some, had some contact with Mike Ron, just to provide the fact that he was looking at the MAD in that area. And I think he's going to try to set up some kind of a discussion with him. Essentially, what he's looking at is the steepness of the slope of the river, which is the speed, the high snow load that from the escarpment that the MAD takes on in the spring. And so it's a high potential for bank erosion. So he's looking at things like bank stabilization, and also the health of the fishery, the safety of the water, and flood protection. So if he can get some extra money, he may be making a position known to us to see if we want to put a bit of money in. We're talking 5,000 for this and 5,000 for that. To see if we want to do a little bit more than just a preliminary study of the MAD as it goes through Creemore. So we'll bring that back as it develops. I think that was it. I also did get some comments from the spring cleanup, mostly good. They're glad to see the sand. A lot of suggestions about doing the sand cleanup when the sand is wet. I know it's an obvious request, but we have to schedule our crews when they come in. So I think the people are generally satisfied that we're cleaning up the sand. I put a few suggestions into to Dan as well. We've had some discussions, so that's my report.
All right. Thank you very much, Counselor. Excellent. Councillor Deneen, welcome. Before you start, Councillor Deneen, just want to acknowledge this is the second time she sat at this table since she became a councillor. So welcome back to the table, Councillor Deneen.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief with mine. We have an Ottawa Hall meeting Thursday night at 7:30. We're actively looking for a new booking agent for the Ottawa Hall. Our gentleman that's been doing it, Adam Thornton, is accepted a volunteer position elsewhere. So if anybody wants to step up to the plate, we'd more than welcome it. 7:30 on Thursday night. It'll be a Zoom meeting. If anybody is interested, please just take a listen in or watch us and see if it would be a good fit for you. We'd greatly appreciate it. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that our local restaurant, the Door Knock Tap and Grill, is reopened, and had Mother's Day supper there from there last night, takeout, and it was great. And all the best to Stephen Leslie. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Good job. Deputy Mayor, would you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I pretty covered everything under my county report.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Leishman, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. It's nice to sit in my chair again, I have to say. I got it nicely warmed and the right height. Then I came back and I had to do it all over again. Oh, well. So I came in for training with Sasha for all of this. That was interesting. We had more of a discussion about everything else in life than, than we did about this, but that was the best because I haven't been able to get in very much to talk to staff. I went to the celebration of life for Ted Hanna. It was probably one of the best celebrations of life I've ever been to. His wife, Catherine, did a wonderful job of summarizing Ted's life from his top drawer in his dresser. And it was lovely. I've been talking to a few citizens, actually been dropping in on them just to see how they are. And these are citizens that always sit in our audience and they miss us. They miss coming to council. They actually enjoyed it. I mean, really. They liked having a coffee and a cookie and sitting down and listening to us. And actually they participated once in a while. And I think they really miss it. They're not Zoom people. So it would be nice for them to get back into the chambers. I also want to remind everybody that the library grand opening is Saturday at 10 a.m. for ribbon cutting. And it should be a great day, and come and see our library if you haven't, because you're really missing something. It's an award-winning library from a little township of Clearview. Can't get better than that. And go Siskins. Thank you.
Well done, Councillor. Great to have you back. Councillor Broderick, how are you doing?
Good, but how do you follow that?
I know. Gosh, she's something. Go ahead, John. Give it a try.
Well, I was in on the 27th for the audio visual check, and I gotta say it did feel good to be back in the chambers in preparation for the meeting here. Also, we had the planning meeting the evening of the 27th. As Councillor Walker alluded to, the Mother's Day breakfast at the Manitou Shrine, I was the official greeter there. It's one of the club president's duties. So it was good to see people out, and it was clear that people felt good being out. It was a good event. We had served 175 dinners that morning, or breakfast that morning. And on tomorrow is the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting, and tomorrow evening we will have the session of the Creemore BIA, and that's about it for me.
All right, thank you very much. Regretfully, I was not able to come to the breakfast, but my best to the Shriners. Good job. Councillor McKechnie, I see you down there at the end of the table.
I'm trying to hide.
I'm looking through 3 pieces of glass to get you. I mean, it's.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yes, I also attended the planning meeting, and Also, Dunedin Small Hall or Community Hall, I attended their meeting. They have 4 new members. And it was good to see them getting going again. They've been relatively dormant over this COVID period. And so it's good to see them again, and especially the 4 new members. That doubles their board, the size of their board. I went to the Duntroon Hall meeting, and also I participated in the Duntroon Park or Hall cleanup around the hall. We just gathered up all the branches and, did a general cleanup in the area there. The question that come up at during the cleanup was possibly not having the township not mow the grass there for the month of May. I know that there's a number of communities that do that in order to let their pollinators, the bees and such, have a little bit of a chance in the month of May. So the Duntroon Hall Committee, they've reached out to Terry, and they've been communicating back and forth with Terry, just copying me on the communication. It's been nice to see the good communication between them. And there is a possibility that maybe portions of that park can be kept from being cut during the month of May. And Terry seems to be communicating with them well. Certainly not the whole park, because then come June, it gets just too heavy. The grass gets too heavy in order to cut. So Terry suggested maybe just a portion of the park. Also too, on, I guess this coming Saturday is the library grand opening. And my wife has planted 160 tomato plants from seed. And they're now about 8 inches high. And my sunroom looks like a cannabis facility. Do I need special zoning for that? I was just wondering. Anyway, she's going to be selling them at the library, and all proceeds go towards supporting or the abandoned dogs due to the war in Ukraine. I believe that there's a charity that looks after the abandoned dogs over there. So all the money will go towards that. So, and that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor McKechnie, and thank you to your wife for that contribution too. That's wonderful to help our community out. I just have a couple of items I'll bring forward, and then we'll move on with our agenda. First of all, I will also join members of the library board, members of the library staff, members of our staff, members of the public, members of the contributions who have been made to the various fundraising that the library's done for the library grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Stayner branch of the Clearview Public Library. As you've heard, it is an award-winning facility, and I look forward to being there to celebrate with the volunteers that have been serving that board and helping to get to the point where we have a new library in our community. And so I look forward to seeing you all there on Saturday. And so we'll see how it goes. And I do look forward to obviously increased activity at the library, given that they're now partnered up with the community center. I think that it's actually driven a lot of attention to the community center too. The hall had a little bit of a renovation and a wall added. So the members of the public come to that event, they will be able to see the renovation as well as see what's going on in the community center as well. So I think that's a real positive thing. Now, speaking of the community center, home of our Stayner Siskins Junior C, was it Carruthers Division champions and now North Conference champions. It was a complete honor to be at some of these games and to watch the efforts of our Stayner Siskins. They are a very, very dedicated, hardworking team who's going through all kinds of health troubles, just like any organization, with some of their players off with flu and work commitments. I mean, they're a volunteer-run organization too, the Siskins. So good for them, and they're on to as Councillor Walker said, the Final Four. To get to the Final Four, they had to beat a very, very difficult team, if you don't mind me saying, in the Mitchell Hawks. Mitchell, the town of Mitchell, which is, it's interesting because the town of Mitchell is in a amalgamated community called West Perth, much like the town of Stayner is in the amalgamated community of Clearview Township. And I had the honor of meeting the mayor of West Perth, Mr. Walter McKenzie, and I had a challenge bet with him. And I can affirm to you today that 2 things have happened at the council chambers of West Perth, which is in Mitchell. The flag of the Township of Clearview was flying today in front of their council chambers. So he's acknowledging our successful victory on behalf of the Siskins. And the second thing, I got a word from our executive assistant that a letter arrived today with a check for the Clearview Stainer Food Bank, which is Mayor Mackenzie's contribution to the food bank, to also meet his contribution in the bet that we had. And I will match that donation and make a contribution to the Clearview Stainer Food Bank as well. So I'll be arranging for that. And I do have his West Perth flag. So if a member of council wants to join me to sort of hold it up as well for the photo, that'd be kind of fun. And we'll send it to our council members at West Perth. The last thing I do want to mention, of course, is that yesterday was Mother's Day. And thank you to all the persons out there that acknowledged Mother's Day and thank the mothers in our community. And I would like to acknowledge my wife, who's the mother of my 2 awesome kids. Happy Mother's Day. Council, we're going to move on. We have some items here from our staff. The first ones are pretty straightforward in the category of 12 department reports. It's the Committee of Adjustment report for April. Recommendation, be it resolved. Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report CS 021-2022, Committee of Adjustment April report dated May the 9th, 2022 for information. Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor, seconded by Mr. Walker. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries. Moving on to Public Works, the Drinking Water Quality Management System Annual Management Review. I'm not sure if a staff member is going to join us on that or not, Mr. CAO. Maybe perhaps we'll have someone. The deputy is going to join us. Okay. Recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PW 016-2022, the Drinking Water Quality Management System Annual Management Review dated May 9, 2022 for information. Mover and seconder on the floor. Mover and seconder, Councillor Deneen, Councillor Walker. Deputy Director Perot is on the call. Do you wish to speak to this at all? Oh, is Stephanie there? I don't see her on the call. Stephanie on the call?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, members of council. So yes, as part of our drinking water quality management system, this is something we're required to do on an annual basis, is hold a management review meeting. It provides a kind of a high-level overview on a very broad spectrum of topics that we're required to talk about, and is a good way to facilitate some discussion amongst our top management group. So the report for you tonight is just a summary of that meeting that was held on March 29th and covered the activities from 2021.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I believe I have a question from the Deputy Mayor. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So when I was reading this report, I read that tests were done and contaminations were showing up in the test, and then the thing was flushed and the test was okay once you retested it. So what actually causes that? That all of a sudden you have a test, but as soon as you flush it, everything checks out normal. That, like, what causes that contamination to be there when you do the original test, and then just simply by flushing without adding anything or do anything, it clears itself up. Could you just sort of explain that to us in layman's terms?
Sure, no problem. Thank you for the question, and through you, Your Worship. So basically what happens a lot of times, there's a lot of, in our general sampling practices, there can be still room for margins of error that can happen. So whether there is something that was, on a tap, or something that was, inadvertently collected in the sample bottle or at the lab site, there's a lot of different places where the sample goes through. So it's not something that can be, you can't take away all of those things in the practice of collecting samples. So the first step is always to take another sample to verify that, yes, there was an issue, or know that there was something that was that happened kind of along the way that was within an error of some sort.
So just to follow up, if I may, Mayor, thank you. So when I read through this, all the places where you had contamination showing up when you did the resampling, everything was okay. So basically 100% of the locations that had a problem, in fact, did not have a problem. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
And that is good news. I recognize Councillor McKechnie. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Stephanie, what happens when an automatic shutdown of a well occurs? Does that mean that the actual water just actually stops flowing? Do people not get any water out of their taps? And also too, Is notice given to the community when coliform is present, or do we? So I've got a couple more questions, but those two questions first.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for the questions. And so through you, your worship, the first question, when an automatic well shuts down, no, you would not notice that. That is something that happens on our end, and it doesn't affect the system pressure within the distribution system. So because we have reservoirs, whether they're being fed like the elevated ones in Creemore and Stainer, or through the high lift pumping systems that are separate from the well portion of our system. So they're kind of two different ends of things. So that just stops our production of water into those storage tanks.
Okay.
And then so then the second part of your question, when we have a coliform detection, no, that is not something that we're required to, for an initial sample, I should say, that is not something that we're required to notify the public about. Between the health unit and the Ministry of the Environment, they have set terms whereby under the circumstances where we would be required to notify. So if it was something that was confirmed that there was an issue, then at that point we would be going out to look at notification. So.
Okay, thank you. And two follow-up questions, Your
Sure.
Worship.
Just looking across it. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
Okay, so and how long will the monitoring of the sodium last as required by the NVCA? And another question, it said you did 1,100 utility locates. Do we charge for those for locates?
Okay, thank you. So through you, Your Worship, the sodium sampling is something that we're through the Ministry of the Environment, our regulations, we normally would be sampling for that on a 5-year basis. So the NVCA has just asked us to increase that to an annual basis. They didn't specify any set term or duration for how long they would like us to continue to monitor that. I imagine it would be something that they would look at over a fairly longer period of time. One good thing is that that's a fairly inexpensive sample relative to a lot of other ones. So wasn't a significant cost increase to us to provide that. And then as well, it's just a good practice to so we can keep an eye on that level because of the health effects that do come along with increases of sodium in drinking water.
Okay, and the locates?
Okay, and sure. And then the locates, no, that is not something that we provide, or that is something we provide for free. It's part of just a general standard utility practices. So we're part of the One Call Association, like all other utilities have now been grouped into. And so it's it is a service that we provide to anyone requesting a locate.
So we just confirm for me, the township did 1,100 locates last year? Wow.
Yes, that is correct. It's a very busy job going on, and it's something that's become more and more that way as the what do I say, the increased awareness of the importance of calling before you dig has happened, and so a lot more people have been following that, and they've made it a lot much easier to obtain those locates with just a simple one phone call versus what previous practices where you'd have to call around every different utility, and a lot of people would ignore that. But it's become much more it's great that people are doing it, but yes, it is something that is very time consuming on our end.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you, Councillor. Good questions. Members of council, anything further on this good news report? No? Okay. Todd, I want to acknowledge that you're there. So thank you very much for joining us, and also good work on behalf of the entire water department. Thank you, Stephanie, as always. Great to see you. Members of council, you've got a motion in front of you. I've got a mover and seconder. I'm looking, anything further? I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Well done. Moving on. All still in public works, however, talking about a tender here, recommendation, be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby one, receive report PW 0 or 2022017. It's a granular material tender award dated May the 9, 2022. Item 2, that the tender number 2022-05 to RNL Construction Limited, operated and owned by Sealy and RNL Construction, in the amount $594,227.20 plus HST for the supply of granular material for township road resurfacing, Okay, a mover and seconder. Mr. Lamers and Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you very much. Todd, are you speaking about this too, if necessary?
Yes, I can, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay, is there any comment you want to bring? I see that we already have counselors flashing their cards. How about I go to questions, Todd? Councillor McKechnie's up first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, Todd, I have to say that Ward 2, the roads are in really good shape. I do a lot of traveling on the back roads. Don't ask why. Anyway, they were in pretty poor shape, as the thaw was coming or the frost was coming out of the ground, but they're in really good shape now. So well done. I'm wondering with this, how many truckloads is that? They're like 500 and some $1,000 worth of aggregate. Break that down for me. How many truckloads would that be?
Sure. Yes, through Your Worship to Councilor McKechnie, that's approximately the large portion of the contract is for our annual granular maintenance, which we approximately put on 35,000 tones. So think of having about 40 tones per trailer load. So that, and then there is some other material in with that, but the biggest lump sum is our 35,000 tones that we put on the certain portions of the roads to annually maintain them.
35,000 tones. And you said how much per truckload?
35 to 40. You're about 1,000 trailer loads.
Okay, 1,000 trailer loads. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this? All right, seeing none, I'll thank you, Todd. I'm prepared to counsel. You got a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. Members of council, moving on. Klondike Park Road property maintenance. I guess this is going to be an ongoing thing since we now own a piece of property out there on Klondike Park Road. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PW 018-2022. It's regards 1585 Klondike Park Road property maintenance dated May 9, 2022. And item 2, direct staff to finalize the farmer lease agreement with Hybrid Landscape Management for $2,000 as described in this report. Can I have a mover and seconder on the motion? Mr. Broderick, seconded by Mr. Walker. Mr. Ron's joined us too. I'm not sure which one. Either one of you want to speak to this, or is there just questions? Mr. Ron, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Unless council has any questions, it's a little bit of housekeeping, I guess. It's the property we want to keep maintained as farmland around the well supply, and just lays the way to do it. For this coming year, future years, we'll have to revisit this and perhaps make it a longer term contract.
Hey, Mike, let me just interrupt you. For some reason, we're getting an amazing feedback from you. It's sort of like an echo feedback, so I'm not sure what that is, but perhaps it's just a camera in the room here that's causing that. You got a second microphone open anywhere over there, Mike? Oh, he's just checking.
I can try this.
That's okay. How about I go to Todd? Todd, you got anything you want to add there to what Mike said?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have anything really to add. It's pretty straightforward, as Mike said. I know he's been dealing with this one, so we'll see if he has anything else he'd like to add to it, but it's basically working out a deal with somebody to work the land for the year, I believe.
All right, Mike, try it again.
How's that, Your Worship?
That's much better. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is, again, just maintaining the site, ensuring that there's no pesticides or fertilizers, nitrates used within 100 meters of the municipal well site, retaining certain areas for laydown areas for construction, and making sure that the property is farmed and does not just turn into, weeds.
Which of course is what we want to see done. So thank you very much for that. Members of council, any questions to our staff? Council, you guys are very awesome. I love being back at the table. All right. Thank you, members of staff, members of council. We've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on, page 5. Over to human resources. Excellent. Okay. HR 001-2022, be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report HR 001-2022. It's in respect to the workplace policy update It's dated May the 9th, 2022 for information. And I'll take a mover and seconder, and then we'll hear from our HR. That'll be Connie Leishman and John Broderick. Thank you, councilors. And hi, Tammy. Do you want to give a brief on that, or do you need questions? Go ahead, Tammy.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, members of council. I just wanted to provide the information to you that we've had an update to our respect in the workplace policy. Just a couple of minor changes that were recommended to us through the Ministry of Labor, and but they were very happy with our policy overall. But as officer of the corporation, I wanted to share with you that there has been an update, and so that's the report before you.
Okay. Members of council, thank you, Tammy. Any questions, members? Yes, Councillor McKechnie, you're up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this policy applies to council as well. Tammy, was that, did council ever get a copy of this when we first started, at the start of our term? Have we ever had a copy of this? Maybe I misplaced mine if we did, but this is the first time I've sort of seen it. So just wondering if, what about the rest of council? Do you guys recognize this? Yeah. Okay. I just don't ever recall getting it before.
All right, let's go to Tammy. Tammy, I'm sure you have an answer for us.
Through Your Worship, Councillor McKechnie, I did provide it as part of the orientation package, and normally outside of pandemic, it's something that I remind council of annually. During the pandemic, I couldn't make that happen, but certainly, and I'm happy to provide copies of any of the policies that affect council. But I did provide it as part of the orientation package, but that was a number of years ago when this term of council started.
Okay, thank you. No, I'm not doubting you. I probably just misplaced it then. It's just when I saw it, I thought I just didn't recognize it. So, okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor. Members of council, anything further? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Tammy. Members of council, you've got a motion in front of you. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries again, unanimous. Thank you. Members of council, moving on. Where are we at? Property tax. Okay. Property tax refunds, finance department. Is Kelly with us here today? There she is. Hello, Kelly. Kelly, I'll read this and then I'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby one, receive report FIN 008-2022, section 357, property tax refunds. For information, item 2 is authorize the treasurer through sections 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act to process the cancellations, reductions, or refunds of property taxes for certain properties in the amount of $5,480.64 for the years of 2019 through 2021, inclusive, as outlined in Appendix A. Okay, mover and seconder on this motion. Where are we at? Councillor Broderick and Councillor Deneen. Councillor Walker, you got to raise a little higher if I'm going to see it. Okay, just, it's a little far away from me right here. All right, I can see you, Kelly. Go right ahead. Have you got something you'd like to add to this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the rest of council, this is a pretty standard report. It comes once every year or two. It's for either gross misstatements or properties that have been demolished by fire. They apply for section 357, and this is just council giving us the okay to go ahead with the refunds. So Schedule A kind of outlines the details of each property and what the particular refund is for. And if there's any questions, I'm here.
All right, members of council, any questions to our treasurer? All right, seeing none, thank you for the report. Thank you for the diligence. Members of council, we've got a motion in front of you. I've got a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous again. Okay, legislative clerks. Madam Clerk, who's sitting right beside me here the first time. Nice to see you. Where are we at? LS 011-2022 encroachment agreement application. Okay, Elm Street and Brock Street. Once again, boy, we seem to talk about them a lot. Just saying. Okay. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby one, receive report LS 011-2022 encroachment agreement application for 204 Elm Street. dated May the 9, 2022. And item 2, that council approve the application for an encroachment agreement submitted by Mr. Lloyd Somerville, owner of 204 Elm Street, Stainer. And item 3, that a bylaw authorizing an encroachment agreement with Mr. William Lloyd Somerville and Marilyn Josephine Somerville for an encroachment agreement onto 220 Brock Street be presented and presented to council at the May 9th, 2022 regular meeting of council. Okay, you have me confused because I want to make sure that Lloyd and William are the same person, but looks like it's clear to me. Mover and seconder, Mr. Broderick, seconded by Councillor Leishman. Thank you very much for that. Madam Clerk, do you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to the rest of council. So Mr. Somerville did submit an application under our encroachment agreement policy to encroach on township lands located at 220 Brock Street. He has a second gravel laneway that encroaches on the north side of his property into 220 Brock Street. That's been pre-existing for a number of years. It was even captured on the survey that the township had requisitioned back in 2017, 2018, when the lands were donated by the Ives family to the township. As per our policy, his application was circulated to commenting departments. There were no comments deeming that this application should not be proceeded forward to council and met all the requirements under our policy. So it's being presented to council for approval tonight. And you're correct, it is a little confusing because Mr. Somerville does go by his middle name Lloyd, but for the property owner and the information for registering on title, we have to do the official names that are on title for that. So.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And all right, is there any questions on this issue, members of council? Yes, Councilor McKechnie. I see you at that far end of the table.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I must apologize. I meant to get over there and have a look at it today and I completely forgot, but I did look at it on Google Maps and just or Google Earth, I should say. So it says on the north side of his property. Isn't that laneway on the south side of his property? And it's it would be on the north side of the township property, is okay. And
I think that's the way it's should be, correct. Yeah.
Right. On page 1 of the report, it says the north side. So, okay, that's fine. And this is just simply because the township back in 2017 did a resurvey. Is that right?
Madam Clerk.
Through your worship to Councillor McKechnie. So no, when somebody is encroaching on municipal lands, technically they should go through the encroachment agreement application to formally legalize and to affirm that council's okay with that encroachment on municipal land. So even though it's been encroaching for years, it's good to put it on title. So if the property ever sells, that it goes with the property. But a part of that policy and what we state in the agreement that you see attached to this report in the bylaw, that at any point in time, council can give notice to revoke that encroachment if it so pleases to do so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other members of council with any questions in regards to this report? All right, seeing none. I've got a mover, council, you got a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. Those in favor? And that carries unanimous again. Thank you very much, council. Council, moving on to page 6. Page 6 is our bylaws, and we do have an on-desk bylaw, which is number 22-31. I mentioned it earlier in regards to appointments to a committee. So I've got the bylaw here in front of me, and I'll read it. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw number 22-31, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A of the appointment bylaw number 19-06, appointing members to the township committees and boards, be presented and read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 9th day of May, 2022. Can I have a mover and seconder on the bylaw? Mr. Lamers and Mr. Walker. Thank you very much. Any questions? I'll call the motion. All those in favor? Thank you, council. The bylaw carries. Next bylaw is the encroachment agreement, as we just spoke of. This one is be it resolved that bylaw 2232, being a bylaw to establish an encroachment agreement for an encroachment onto municipal lands at 220 Brock Street, be presented and read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 9th day of May, 2022. Can I have a mover and seconder on this bylaw? Mr. McKechnie, Deputy Mayor. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the bylaw. All those in favor? And any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right. So those two bylaws are completed. This time we have the notice of motion and new business. We have no notices of motion that have been presented. Nothing new other than our chamber reno, mini reno. That's new to us, but we're glad to be back. Bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw number 2233, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 9th, 2022 council meeting, be presented or read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 9th of May, 2022. Mover, Walker, seconded. Councillor Leishman. All those in favor? And that bylaw carries. Thank you, council. Council, we're going to go to our notice motion to adjourn. Again, I want to acknowledge this to the staff who worked on getting us into this room finally. To Mr. CAO for your patience in my whining and complaining about making sure we get back into the chambers. Appreciate that. It's not perfect. We're going to get it better. It's going to work. We're going to address the issue of the camera. I see now the sun is not getting right into the camera, so that's good. That's good for everybody that can participate. And hopefully we will see us all back in the council chambers. And excellent. Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Recommendation be it resolved that the council meeting be adjourned and the time will be, what is it? 6:26? 6:26. How about that? Councillor Deneen, Councillor Lamers, the mover and seconder, all those in favor. Thank you. That carries. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at our council meeting. Thank you to the staff that joined us, and thank you